All right, guys, what is going on today? I'm here with Bob. Bob, thanks for being with us. Bob was a claims adjuster with State Farm for a couple of years, and so today we're going to talk with Bob. He's going to give us a lot of awesome information about claims, how the process runs, claims adjusters, how to deal with them, and all of the good stuff. Stick around to the end because Bob's going to give you a few tips to deal with claims adjusters. You don't want to miss it. So Bob, thanks again for being with us.
Absolutely.
Let's start out with the question, claims adjusters, are they your friends or are they your enemies?
It's a great question, actually. Claims adjusters can be your friend. Claims adjusters also sometimes can be your enemy. It's all about how you treat them. Just like your daily job, someone starts yelling at you, you're not going to be super receptive. But if you call in, hey, questions, helpful, we'll be helpful back too. At the end of the day, the claims adjuster does want to help you. They also want to move the file forward and get your claim resolved. Because if they can get it resolved, that's one less claim that they have in their inventory. So if you're nice to them, they're nice to you. And everyone has a bad day, and we understand that. But if you call yelling 3 times, they definitely remember that name. And anytime someone comes in, maybe you go to the bottom of the pile on accident. Happens to the best of us.
Makes sense, okay. So a lot of times I have a client who will come to me and say, hey, I need to file this claim, but there is no way I'm gonna talk to the claims adjuster because they're not on my side and I know they're gonna try to screw me over. Sounds like that's not the case.
Not all the time. There are definitely situations to where a claim doesn't make sense to file. I'm sure you deal with that all the time.
Right, yep.
But generally, your insurance company wants to help you. That's what they're there for. That's why you pay them. We try to be friendly.
Okay, so bottom line, most of the time claims adjusters are there to help you. Be nice to them, they'll be nice to you.
Exactly.
Perfect. Okay, so now let's talk about the actual policy itself. The whole reason we do these educational videos is because we want our clients to know what the policy actually says. A lot of people will buy a policy, they have no idea what it says, then it comes claims time and they're like, hey, I hope I can convince the insurance company, the claims adjuster, to cover this claim. But what they don't understand is if it's not in the policy language, in the policy contract, it's not going to be covered.
100%.
So talk about that a little bit.
Knowing your policy is super important. Now, yes, there's a really long contract that comes at the end of that. There's a lot of policy language that even some claims adjusters don't know how to read. So the important thing is to understand at least your deck page. What your coverage does for you, what your coverage doesn't do for you, if you have rental, if you have under and uninsured motorists, which are super important, especially in states like Arizona and California, where we have a high number of uninsured drivers. Knowing the difference between uninsured and underinsured, how they can help you, something that is super important because when it does come claim time, okay, cool, I have full coverage. Well, what does full coverage really mean?
Yep. So let's say I buy a policy, it has a $5,000 deductible. I don't realize that, and now it comes claim time. Can I sweet talk my way into a $1,000 deductible?
No, never. There is never a chance to where if your policy is a $5,000 deductible or $2,000 deductible, you're gonna be able to pay less. We, claims adjusters, have to go by the contract that was signed.
Okay. So bottom line, know your policy, know the contract. And again, we don't expect your normal consumer, your normal insured to know the contract. So that's why it's important to pick a good insurance company and a good agent that can explain those things to you.
Absolutely. Your agent should be able to break it down for you so you understand. I can't tell you how many conversations I had with someone of like, hey, what does this actually mean? Okay, well, this is what your coverage does. This is how your coverage actually applies in this situation, where the agent should have been able to have that. Maybe they did because they've had the coverage for 10 plus years and that's a real situation. But if you bought your policy 6 months ago and you didn't know you had a $1,000 deductible, it's not a great situation to be in.
All right, Bob, that's great information. Let's talk about when it comes to vehicles. Vehicles being damaged, vehicles being totaled. A lot of times I'll have an insured call me and say, hey, my car, it should be worth $20,000 and the claims adjuster is only giving me $16,000 and they're so upset. What can they do in that situation? What should they do in that situation?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a really interesting question that can go a lot of different ways. One of the core things that we look at for where adjusters look at is going to be not what the loan is worth and not what the loan price is. It's going to be what the car is actually worth. Because when you drive off the lot on a loan, new car loses 5, 10, whatever the old adage is. So if you rolled negative equity into it, what you owe versus what the car is actually worth, two totally different situations. Now, in terms of the total, each carrier has a little bit different, but at the end of the day, it's gonna be what is the car actually worth, and then what is the car worth to repair, and that's where they come up with that number.
Okay, so I know a lot of times I'll have insurance, they'll go online and find comps. Like, hey, I found this car, it's the exact same as mine, has similar mileage, and it's selling for $2,000 more. Does that help if you can pull like 5 or 6 comps and send those to the claims adjuster to get the value of your car up, to get the payout?
Yeah, so having that conversation, hey, talking to the adjuster, okay, what do I need to show you? What proof do I need to work with you? Like, how do I get this valuation up? Okay, you need X, Y, and Z, and then do the research. It's definitely not fun having to do the legwork yourself, but if it's gonna net you another $1,000 to $2,000, sometimes it's worth it.
Okay, so that just goes back to if you're nice and work with the claims adjuster, they're gonna work with you. There are things that can be done.
Sometimes, and it depends on the claims adjuster. Certain departments are a lot tougher than others. Certain carriers hold that line a little bit different. So really just having that conversation with your claims adjuster, again, being as nice as possible, having that conversation, just asking questions, that goes a long way.
Perfect, and now we're to the best part of the video, guys. Thanks for sticking around. Bob is gonna give us 3 tips from a prior claims adjuster that can really help you if you ever are in an accident, have a claim, and need some help. So Bob, tell us the 3 tips.
So these are the 3 tips I tell everyone, all my friends, family, anytime anyone ever mentions the word claims and asks me because they know. Claim number 1, this is one of the big ones. Take pictures. Take more pictures than you think you need. Take double the pictures you think you need. If you think it's a dumb picture, take it anyway. Because tire tracks, point of impact, speed, there are a number of different things that can be determined off pictures. And pictures, the old adage, pictures speak 1,000 words. When you're going to determine liability and fault, pictures are a huge help.
Okay, so things like maybe how to step back, take how the intersection is, how the stoplights are, everything.
Point of travel, where you were headed, or your direction of travel, the other car's direction of travel. Also, the basic ones, make sure you get a picture of their license, make sure you get a picture of their insurance card, make sure you get a picture of their license plate. Those things, because sometimes all 3 don't add up. So taking the most pictures and what you think definitely helps the situation, because then you can send those to your adjuster and say, okay, this makes sense. Because the unfortunate case is maybe the other party misremembered their facts and gave different ones versus what the actual facts are, and your pictures will prove that.
Perfect. I can't tell you the amount of times where a client of mine has had a claim and they're like, oh yeah, I didn't take pictures, I didn't do anything else because the person said they were at fault, they were so sorry, and they were gonna take care of it. And then turns out that person lied, they filed the claim, the story was completely different.
Yep, it happens.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so tip number 1, take pictures.
Tip number 2, get a police report. Now, always call and report it, try to get a police report. Sometimes they won't come. Big metro areas, especially right now, with staffing issues, sometimes they can't come. But try to call, try to go online and file if they won't report, so that way you at least have it. You have that documentation that there was an accident, this is where it was, these are the facts, my facts of loss, and then that way that is at least documented.
Okay, so even if it's a small fender bender, still call the police if they come out, have them do a report.
And sometimes they won't. Sometimes they'll ask a couple questions to determine whether or not they do or don't come out. Still call, make sure that you have it at least reported.
Okay, so tip number 2, police report. Give us the last tip.
Tip number 3, this is the biggest one. This will be a savior for you. Get a dash cam. Now, I know dash cams are sometimes hard to work or seem expensive. The number of people who get into a rear end accident and say the other person was backing up versus they were rear-ended is astonishing. And that damage is the same. They can't tell the difference. So if you get a dash cam showing that they backed into you versus you rear-ending them, huge save. Also, lane change shows you're moving straight, the other person isn't. Even if it shows that you're moving straight, that'll save you right there. Get a dash cam, and the big one is know how to use it. Know how to upload the video, know how to save the video, make sure it's plugged in, make sure if you need to unplug it, know how the dash cam works, know how to upload the footage, make sure you understand the basics of it, and then also make sure you use it.
Perfect. So those are the 3 tips. Pictures, police report, dash cam. That'll probably save you a world of hurt.
Absolutely. And it could prove that you were in fact not at fault for an accident that the other party is saying you were.
Awesome. This is great information, Bob. Thanks for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely.